The return of Verdansk to Warzone has widely been received as Infinity Ward's last-ditch effort to bring back players, or the studio would start shutting down servers. It seems like Infinity Ward and Marvel are having very similar experiences right now, as they both seem to have a lack of direction and creativity, which has led them to wipe their slates clean. This is Call of Duty saying, alright, we need to get back to the basics and try a different approach on how we present our BR mode. If you were to show someone in 2008 what Call of Duty was in 2025, they wouldn't even recognize it. They think you were showing them some future version of Time Splitters. If you get that reference, you're awesome. Or you're as old as I am. In an attempt to jump onto a trend, they tried to mimic Fortnite with crazy skins and fantasy collabs, but that isn't why people play Call of Duty. It was as if they had completely forgotten who their fan base actually was. Call of Duty was meant to be grounded. It was meant to be realistic. It's meant to be a trip back in time. And that was the thing. You either loved the historical elements to the campaign, or you appreciated the simple, straightforward multiplayer that was well developed, had simple mechanics, and felt comfortable. But regardless, in both modes, the realism and grounded take was appreciated. Drink your water. The percentage of people who were looking for a Call of Duty to turn into a Fortnite just wasn't there. And as for the ones that were, they probably went back to Fortnite anyways. As we all know by now, when you want to do more of something, you have to do less of something else. There's always a balance. Which meant Infinity Ward had less time working on keeping the game flowing smoothly, while putting more time into making the game more colorful and profitable. Which some might actually argue is not saying that much at all, as the mode has always been riddled with bugs, and it's felt like cheaters have been around every corner. But it seems like a lot of that has changed, and they're finally listening to what their audience wants. Is this a sign that they're going to start making better decisions moving forward? Or is this just a quick money grab? Only time will tell. But so far, things are looking good. The game itself plays exactly the way a Call of Duty feels like it should, and not like an attempt to be some other game. There's sliding and quick movement, but it doesn't feel like you're mimicking someone who's going through some type of withdrawals as you fight someone else. I didn't really play Warzone enough to see the evolution of slide canceling and all the other things that went viral about why this game became unplayable, but I can understand the perspective. This is where Warzone and Fortnite actually have a lot of similarities. Both games have taken massive losses in terms of playership, simply because some of their player base was just too good and too toxic. It's one thing for someone to box you up and 200 pump you, but when they donk you laugh and take the L on you, you start asking ChatGPT how to hack IP addresses. And that is especially important in a game like Call of Duty, a game where the player base is much older than that of Fortnite. As always, hit that subscription button and turn on notifications. The average Warzone player doesn't have the luxury of spending hours queuing back up over and over and over that someone still in school might have, which means after playing 3 games and dying instantly, are naturally going to go look somewhere else for their dopamine. But with the addition of casual mode, it seems to be changing that. It feels like they're trying to mimic PUBG and allowing players to get that experience of their game, but at a less intense pace, allowing them to appreciate other aspects of the game besides just the fighting mechanics, which makes a huge difference in the player's experience, as the pacing between casual and regular mode cannot be further apart. Casual mode has this PUBG feeling to it where you can take your time, put more emphasis into the looter experience, and talk with your friends without the anxiety of a squad running up on you out of nowhere. And since there are 150 people instead of 100, the addition of bots isn't as frustrating as games like Fortnite, where the bots feel like they take up 80% of the server, and when you do fight them, it doesn't seem like they can deal any damage. The bots in Warzone, they will light you up immediately. For those of you who love the sweatiness and that's why you play this, it's there for the taking. You have places like Hospital and Superstore, which are pretty much a death sentence, but that's exactly what the thrill is all about. If you make it out of a hot drop alive, the game just feels so much more valuable, like there's so much more on the line. They really did do a remarkable job making this game feel just like it did back in 2020, and did an even better job at creating a mode where casuals could actually feel like it was casual. So how did Warzone perform? Did the huge marketing play work? Well, when it comes to the numbers of the first day, they hit a max concurrent players of 114,000. The question is that a good or a bad thing? And what really were the expectations? In recent months, Warzone usually peaks at about 70,000 concurrent players daily, which when compared to a game like Fortnite who sees around 2 million concurrent daily, that really just seems like a drop in the bucket. It doesn't even seem like a comparison. There are single playlists in Fortnite that have more players than the entire game of Call of Duty does. And the question is, does that have more to do with just how awesome Fortnite is, or how far Call of Duty has fallen? Even a game like PUBG is pulling in around 700,000 players a day. So how is the once all-time champion game in Call of Duty falling so far behind? The reviews for Verdansk for the most part seem to be very positive, so what gives? Why didn't more people come back to play? We've certainly hit a point as a society where the Battle Royale is no longer the only genre the mainstream cares about. You can feel an honest shift towards people's desires for something more. Whether it's a captivating storyline like Hogwarts Legacy, or simply a well-rounded shooter like Delta Force, or a fleshed-out RPG like Elden Ring, gamers are starting to move on. And if that's the case, a game like Call of Duty is going to suffer the most. They're the franchise that's already been plagued by player fatigue. They're the franchise that hasn't introduced anything new besides BR in almost 15 years. The reality is, no matter how good this mode was going to be, it might have been an impossible battle to win. It's possible the industry has already begun to move on from Call of Duty. We see it all over media today. If you become famous or successful for something and then try and pivot from it, you're most likely going to lose a lot of your following. The question is, can you pick up those pieces and rebuild? Only time will tell here. Well, serious, drink your water. Almost every one of my channel's viewers is not subscribed to the channel. Do me a huge favor and hit that subscription button. We're trying to get monetized. My dog and I. And if you enjoyed this video, think about watching either of these videos that's on the screen. Go out there and do something great.